Alright, it looks like we have a lot to cover today when it comes to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Our E3 gameplay just wrapped up, and while it didn't give us as much as we've seen with games like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Pokemon Sun and Moon, there are some things that I'm super hyped for. Like, there's actual multiplayer with people running around that you can interact with. There's ingredients, and you can do foraging in the wild area, and the max raid battles look pretty cool. So I'm going to be covering all that today, but the first thing I want to talk about is what Game Freak has to say about Pokemon Home, because this isn't clickbait, this isn't over-exaggeration, it changes everything about Pokemon forever. There is no national dex in Galar. You cannot transfer all of your Pokemon from Pokemon Bank / Pokemon Home into the games, and we're going to see what Junichi Masuda has to say about it. So if you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe as well, because I'm going to be covering the other features later on today, and if you want to stay hype with Pokemon Sword and Shield, don't forget to use code Verlisify for 30% off your G Fuel order until June 16th. So I'm going to chug away, get more excited as we see what Masuda has to say.
One thing I'd like to talk about, and it's about the Pokemon Home service that we recently announced. So it will connect with the Pokemon RPGs as well as Pokemon Go to allow players to really gather all of
So yeah, we got to
in a
go through this
single
interview and
location.
stuff.
Of course, it will also work with the Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield games. But there is one important change from the previous Pokemon Bank service that I want to tell all of its users about. So in previous games that worked with the Pokemon Bank service, you were able to, for example, in Sun and Moon, bring over any Pokemon even if they weren't in the Alola Pokedex.
Like, just a quick little sidetrack about this announcement. Junichi Masuda, he doesn't just, like, come out and say it, you know? It seems like he's a little sad about it, too. He's just like, well, this is a decision we had to make. Here's the thing, here's the thing. Like, it's kind of weird how this ends up coming out, but it kind of has a great impact.
And now we're well over 800 Pokemon species in the games. And at Game Freak, we really spent a lot of time thinking about what the best way to move forward was, really preserving the quality of all the different Pokemon, while also, taking into account the battle balance, having so many different Pokemon available, all within, a limited development time, so we don't keep fans waiting too long for every new entry in the series. So what that means for Pokemon Sword and Shield is that players will be able to transfer their Pokemon from Pokemon Home only if they appear in the Galar region Pokedex.
That's a lot to take in. And like I said, it was built up so strangely. They were talking about the development that, we want to put out a game so frequently that we don't want to keep players waiting. And then they acknowledge that now there's 800 Pokemon, so they can't keep them all in the games. And then even competitive. So the battle balance is actually being cared for in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is really cool, which is maybe also a reaction with what happened in Pokemon Sun and Moon, that the competitive is just complete trash, but what it means is that Pokemon Bank doesn't work for all Pokemon. If you find it in Galar, then Pokemon Home will be able to transfer the Pokemon, and I don't think that's actually a bad thing, because less opportunities for like legendary Pokemon to come in instantly hacked and stuff like that. It seems like there's just straight up no national dex, which was kind of being phased out with Pokemon Sun and Moon. So that's another interesting thing to kind of see this happening and then taking the big leap in Generation 8. But also, I'm also thinking about future Pokemon games, the enhanced version of Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's going to introduce new Pokemon, so that means you're going to be able to bring those Pokemon over with Pokemon Home, and then eventually Sinnoh remakes. So depending on what Pokemon are absent, you can probably expect them at least inside of Generation 8. So what that means is all Pokemon are going to be eventually available in this generation, which is pretty good. They still talk about how it's not going to be it's still going to be a crazy feat to catch all the Pokemon in Galar, so I'm still expecting at least 400 Pokemon, something crazy like that, and it's going to be specifically picked for the balance of the games and a lot of other things going on, so let's keep listening.
So we were very careful. We spent a lot of time really thinking what the best selection of Pokemon to match the setting of the adventure would be. So I'll talk more about the details and future opportunities such as media interviews, but I wanted to let you know today.
So I also like that, kind of handpicking a great, solid Pokemon adventure. This looks like the Pokemon Switch that everyone was expecting and everyone wanted. That, we have a little bit of open world coming into play. There's the new information that we have about the gym that's going to be playable at the E3 demo. So we're going to see if anything new comes out from that. But there's a lot of pretty good stuff to be breaking down, and I'm okay with this. Because it gets to the point where there is a lot of bloat inside of Pokemon, and not every Pokemon is the best. So far, what we've seen from the wild area seems like a great mix of every generation of Pokemon so far. I mean, there's even Pokemon like Avalugg, which is one of the more quickly forgotten Pokemon from Generation 6. So Avalugg's rolling around. We can see from the wild area gameplay at E3 that we even have like Vanillite, Vanillux, Golurk, and then just other traditional Pokemon. So everything's just kind of going to have a nice mix, and we're going to see how it plays out. I'm okay with this, and my idea for an ideal Pokemon home was that your Pokemon home Pokemon don't interact with your games, but you still have them with you as a representation of your past adventures. So this kind of gets, this is going to piss off a lot of people, but at least makes me happy.
Yeah, in the Galar region, you're going to find a lot of Pokemon, including a bunch of Pokemon that no one has discovered yet. So the games are definitely chock full of content.
So that is indeed a lot to break down, and it still kind of shows, like, yeah, we're going to be getting a lot of new Pokemon Generation 8. I hope we get like over 80, maybe 90. If we can push the Pokedex to 900, that would be insane. I could also see that being like a big reveal, maybe, that including mythicals, we might just get 900 exactly, and then just a big 900 on a Pokemon website or Pokemon announcement, or if they actually like kind of confirm all the Pokemon at some point, or like at least the number inside the dex. That could lead to something interesting. And yeah, there's still going to be tons of Pokemon to catch, so there's going to be a few people out there that their favorite Pokemon won't be included in the games and just won't be playable at all, but you'll still be able to have them in Pokemon Bank. So I think that is a pretty good compromise, and also maybe Game Freak kind of reacting to the disdain they have towards the younger audience, the newer players that feel like they're more entitled to everything inside the games. Like, this isn't me just hating on Zoomers and Millennials and stuff. Game Freak has actually said this in many interviews that I've covered in the past, so maybe they're just like, look, we want you to experience the adventure we're offering as the experience we are offering it as. Not you bring over your legendary Pokemon, you bring over all your cheats and hacks through Pokemon Bank, and you ruin the experience. So it looks like they've kind of built this as something amazing, and even with that, you know, Pokemon Sword and Shield, if this was all we got, if it was just Dynamax, Wild Area, and Max Raid Battles, this already looks to be potentially the best Pokemon game made from just the features and how crazy the exploration is going to get. But we know it's going to be even more than just this. So even with that, it's pretty good. And I'm an old school player. I'm back from Generation 4, where I'm used to rebreeding for hundreds of hours all of my Pokemon when it comes to the games. Like Pokemon X and Y. Pokemon Bank came out for X and Y, but we didn't have that until like February or something. It was like late February or March, I think. We didn't have it for months after the game came out. So you know what I did? I spent over 500 hours. I rebred all my Pokemon. I remade my entire teams and stuff. And I enjoyed Pokemon more than ever at that point. The competitive balance was great because we didn't have all these hacked legendary Pokemon coming in. And it was about your ability as a breeder to just make what you can with Pokemon. So Pokemon Home is going to be available in early 2020 is what I believe they said about it. You know, what makes me happy is it feels like it really cuts back on that player entitlement. Like, oh, I'm allowed to cheat because I wasn't around Generation 5 for this event, so it's fair for me to do that. I deserve all of my Pokemon that I've ever had. I don't have to rebreed, I don't have to retrain, I don't have to work for my things ever again. So that's what I like about Pokemon Home. You know, it's going to re-incentivize trainers to have to interact with Pokemon as they're giving the experience, and not just having everything given to you, which I feel ruins Pokemon in the long run and kills the longevity of the games. So by making it about the Galar region, it's definitely on Game Freak for a little bit, that they have to make the games stand alone on their own and stand for a long amount of time. And this also opens up the possibility of DLC. Might do a separate video discussion on that, maybe as we get an interview, maybe as we get a little bit more information to break down about it, but that'd just be a crazy theory at that point. But yeah, when we look at Pokemon Home, I like the idea that you still have all your Pokemon with you. If you have that, you know, Typhlosion from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, that was like your ultimate buddy that you just want to keep with you forever. If Typhlosion isn't in Pokemon Sword and Shield, that would kind of be lame, but at least you still get to have that Pokemon. It doesn't get to go away forever, and it's safe in the Pokemon Home with you, which means there could also be some other features inside of Pokemon Home. I'm kind of hoping for My Pokemon Ranch kind of setup to where at least you can play, interact with them, and not make them just kind of feel like they're sitting in some kind of abstract cloud storage box instead of just rotting away in a PC box inside of your Pokemon games. So this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I feel like people are just going to get unnecessarily mad at Game Freak for something that old school players are like, this is kind of what's expected. And I find it refreshing at this point to where we just kind of dial it back and say, okay, there's a little too many Pokemon right now. if you want the complete Pokemon experience, it's best to take things away. We saw this in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and I found that absurdly successful. No items, no abilities, objectively made the game better. Now, going into Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's going to be cool to have abilities and items come back, but I like that nice little reprieve that we had, and I think the biggest thing is balance. You know, if they balance the abilities really well, if they balance the items really well, if they balance these new features really well, then yeah, it's going to be good. But in Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, it's just a complete unbalanced wreck when it comes to competitive. So it wasn't fun to have items and abilities and legendary Pokemon and every Pokemon available and Z moves with Mega Evolution, all that stuff. So I hope that Game Freak, it seems like they paid a lot of attention to this. They thought really hard. They thought deeply about it. I just remember going back to interviews in like 2012, 2013, where they said, you know, we're not going to remove items. We're not going to remove Pokemon. But here, there's a bit of a soft retconning, and I'm okay with it. You know, it's just going to be like, this is going to refine the Pokemon experience. It's going to make it better overall. And anything that can make people upset for over their entitlement, I guess I'm pretty down with as well. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.